Hi, this is Krishnan. Today, I'll be taking the Hindu news analysis. So, these are the 6 articles that we'll be seeing. So, let us directly go into these topics. So, the first topic for the day is scientists have finally figured out how mercury becomes a superconductor. So, let's see how it works. So, in 1911, Dutch physicist Heike Kamerlingh-Onnes discovered superconductivity in mercury. You all know what superconductivity is, right? So he also found that. He found that at a very low temperature, called the threshold temperature, solid mercury offers no resistance to the flow of electric current. So this is what superconductivity is. He explained this through the BCS theory. What is the BCS theory? It is the Bardeen-Cooper-Schrieffer theory. So, how he explains the superconductivity theory of mercury? He explains it through the Bardeen-Cooper-Schrieffer theory. Now, what you'll have to know is scientists have always used the BCS theory to explain superconductivity in various materials. However, what was very special about mercury is that nobody never really fully understood how it works in mercury. And one thing researchers are saying is that all physical properties relevant for conventional superconductivity are anomalous in some respect with regard to mercury. That is, whatever physical properties are associated with superconductivity, for mercury alone, they are anomalous. So this is what they have found out. And they have also worked out a theoretical description for superconductivity that predicted its threshold temperature to be within 2.5% of the observed value of mercury. And they've also found something, that is, in BCS superconductors, vibrational energy released by the grid of atoms encourages electrons to pair up, forming the so-called Cooper pairs. So electrons pair up and they form Cooper pairs. Once these Cooper pairs are formed, they can move like water in a stream, facing no resistance to their flow below a threshold temperature. So BCS superconductors can do something called Cooper pairs. What will happen in the Cooper pairs? They move like water in a stream, facing no resistance to their flow below this threshold temperature. And the group also came up with a calculation which explains how superconductivity emerges in mercury. For example, when researchers accounted for the relationship between an electron spin and momentum, they could explain why mercury has such a low threshold temperature. And they also found that one electron in each pair in mercury occupied a higher level energy than the other. So, this detail reportedly lowered the Coulomb repulsion, that is, like charges repel. So, because of one electron in each pair is higher than the other electron, this brought down the Coulomb repulsion in the mercury. So, because of this, superconductivity came into play for mercury. Thus, this group explained how mercury becomes a superconductor below its threshold temperature. So, this is what you will have to know about mercury, the Coulomb repulsion, and the BCS theory and things like that. Let us now move on to the next topic. Routes connect a Meghalayan village. Like most of you would have traveled during your summer vacation, and most of you might have gone to northeastern states, right? You might have seen this, and this is a very famous thing in Meghalaya as well. So this is in the news. Let us see what it is about. So what has happened is recently one farmer he's growing all these things in Cherrapunji in Umkar River. So what he is done is he is following the traditional practice, that is he's using the roots of the rubber fig. What is the rubber fig called? It's called Ficus elastica. So he learned this technique from his grandfather and other elders. So with this, he is molding the roots and they are forming a bridge. So Meghalaya is known for its living root bridges. Locally, this is known as Jinkainjri. So this you should know. Locally, it is known as Jinkainjri. They are on the tentative list of UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. They have not been added yet. So that you should know, they have not been added yet. They are only on the tentative list. So what else should you know about the living root bridge? They are grown by indigenous Kasian tribal communities. And these structural ecosystems, right, they have performed extremely well in climatic conditions and other, in Meghalaya it keeps raining. In spite of that, they have been performing very well. So what it shows? It shows this profound harmony between humans and nature. You know, right? The tribals and nature, they live in oneness. They are not in conflict with nature, unlike us, people who live in urban areas, in villages, in rural areas, tribes, they live in complete harmony with nature. And what they are telling is each living root structure reveals a distinct ethnobotanical journey rooted in profound culture, nature, reciprocity, and synthesis. Excellent, right? Their culture and nature, they are not at conflict. Their synthesis and culture is giving to nature and nature is giving back to culture. So, the intergenerational growth process of nurturing a sapling into a robust, load bearing structure in extreme climate and geography reveals exceptional enterprise and skill, suggesting a masterpiece of human creative genius. So, there's enterprise skill as well because a lot of visitors come to see it and they use it. People use it to cross the other side of the river, so they pay a very small amount. So entrepreneurship also comes into play and it shows human creative genius as well. So this is the beauty of it. Now let us see what is a living root tree. It is a type of simple suspension bridge formed by the method of tree shaping to form living plant roots across a stream or river. So what will happen? They'll allow the root to grow and strengthen over a period of time, and close to 50 people can cross it at a time, and it will grow for at least 150 years. For 150 years, you can easily use it. Unlike the bridges and other things that we build these days, you know, right? A lot of bridge mishaps that happen, like they don't even withstand for a year. But see, this stands for 150 years. And what happens locally, they are known as Jinkingri. This you'll have to know, we saw already as well. They are very common in the southern part of Meghalaya, where villages from the Kasi and Jaintia tribes, you've heard of these tribes, right? Kasi and Jaintia tribes, matrilineal tribes in Meghalaya. They grow them by training the rubber fig. What is it called? Ficus elastica on both the sides of a water body over a period of about 10-50 years, where the roots form the bridges. So this is what you'll have to know about the Meghalayan living root trees. They might ask it in the prelims. Now let us go on to the next topic. So recently all these things regarding Pakistan is going viral, right? So the topic is, will shutting markets fix Pakistan's economy? So what Pakistan government is doing is, the country is going through a series of financial crisis and they are trying to take some measures to alleviate the sufferings of the people, but nothing is going their way right now. Recently you might have seen, right, people are buying gas in polythene covers and storing it because the prices of fuel is going high. You might have seen the pic went viral, like a man is buying gas in a cover and he's taking it home. So the problem is that serious in Pakistan. So let us see what is happening. Pakistan is going through financial crisis and depleting foreign exchange reserves. So what the government is doing is, it is coming with measures to reduce energy consumption and reduce its energy import bill. So if you reduce energy consumption, of course your energy bill will come down, and energy import is, they are buying fuel from other countries, so that will also come down. So these things they are going to take care. So for that, what they are doing is, they are telling market should close by 8:30 and restaurants should close by 10 p.m. So this is a bit funny, right? You have to take much more drastic measures, but what they are doing is, they are asking markets to close and restaurants to close. So this they are telling, will save close to $274 million. And what else they are doing? They are banning the production of inefficient fans that they are doing, because that will also save electricity. And government departments are going to cut electricity usage by 30%. So these are the things, these are the new reforms that they have come up with. So what else they are saying? So Pakistan's economic crisis is at tipping point. So of late there are a lot of memes you might have seen, right? The people are telling Indians on their way to buy Pakistan. So Pakistan might economically collapse at any time. So Indians are going to buy it. Like, there's a lot of funny memes. So that is what they are trying to convey here. And see, their foreign exchange reserves and all, it is coming down. It has come down to $9 billion. So it will pretty much come to 6 weeks only they can pay for their imports. So the exchange reserve has come down to that level. So in January this year, they are having only $5.56 billion. So that will not even come for 6 weeks. So they have come down to that level. And see, now year on year inflation has skyrocketed. It has gone to double digits, 24.5%. So in macroeconomics, you might have read, right? It is going to in 2 digit. It is going. There are different types of inflation, right? Galloping inflation and things like that, hyperinflation and things like that. So you must tell 24.5% will come under which inflation. So that is one task for you. So year on year inflation has gone to that level. And see, for perishable food items, it has gone to close to 56%, that is 55.93%. So inflation is at an all-time high. But what the government is doing, they're doing only knee-jerk reactions. What are the knee-jerk reaction? They are just telling close the market and restaurant by 8:30 and 10 p.m. Everything will be fine. So this is not proper action. So this is called knee-jerk reaction. So this is what their reforms are. So let us see if these measures will help. So their defense minister, what he says, it will help Pakistan save around 62 billion rupees. So he's saying that. And because of the war in Ukraine, no, Pakistan is importing fuel from Gulf countries, right? So their import bill also went up. So he's telling that is also has gone up. Now, if you reduce your energy consumption, we can save some money, like that is telling. But however, local people are not supporting at all. They are telling you don't focus on all these things. The real problem is not with energy. The real problem is with inflation. We saw, right? It has gone to 25% and 56% and things like that. So they're telling you focus on inflation. So to give you a picture of how bad the inflation scenario in the country is, the price of flour is around 140 rupees and chicken meat is 800 rupees. Sugar, rice, pulse, ghee, everything there has gone to close to 400 rupees. So what the local people are saying is, you are giving homeopathic remedies for a country gripped by potentially terminal disease. You are telling there is brain tumor, but what you are doing, you are giving homeopathy treatment, like that Pakistanis are telling. So what is going to happen in the future? Now, as usual, Pakistan has gone with a begging bowl to IMF. 6 billion they had managed to secure in 2019 itself. Of that, 1.1 billion they'll soon get from IMF. It has been delayed so far, but anyhow they will get it. And the finance minister, what he has done, he's gone to Saudi Arabia and China, and he's asking to help them with foreign exchange reserves. So this is not a very new thing for Pakistan. So going with the begging bowl to other countries and IMF is a very common occurrence. So right now they are doing these things. So let us go on to the next article. So, but the thing is, one more thing, like I said, this past experience of Pakistan, let us see it, like doing this, going, coming up with lame excuses and begging and all is not a huge thing for Pakistan. So what has happened after the you remember the nuclear test, right? After we did the Pokhran test, they also did the nuclear test, and because of that, there were sanctions and all. So because of that, the country's foreign exchange reserve uh, went very low. So they were already under pressure, and the foreign exchange reserves went to just 1.2 billion. So what the government did, the government froze all dollar accounts of ordinary Pakistanis, which had deposits of about $11 billion, as it feared a run on the banks. You know what is a run on the bank, right? Like all of us, all depositors going and taking the money at the same time. That is called run on the banks. So they freeze all dollar accounts so that there will be some foreign exchange reserves. So this is what is because of nuclear test, their foreign exchange reserves depleted, and they froze the dollar accounts. Next, what happened? At the time, their prime minister was Nawaz Sharif. So what he did, he said, "Don't drink tea. If you stop drinking tea, what we can do is we can save close to 7 billion annually." So like that, he told Pakistan ordinary citizens that if you stop drinking tea and if you stop using things like ghee and all, we can save close to 7 billion rupees annually. So like that, he came up with bizarre stuffs. So what is the country doing now? As we saw already, the army chief, he has gone to Saudi Arabia and UAE, and he's hopeful that the Gulf nations will give them some money. So, but what they should know is, in the long run, seeking bailouts cannot help the country. What they should do is, they should cut down spending on defense. You know, right? The Pakistan as a country is run by military and things like that. So, the author argues that Pakistan should stop spending so much on defense and improve trade and energy ties with neighboring countries, especially India. So, this is what the problem in Pakistan is, and the remedy is to reduce spending on defense and improve ties with India. So, this is what it's all about. Let us now go on to the next article. This article is not much important per se, but I still thought we'll have a look at it because it talks about how Russia and Ukraine as a society changed from the medieval past to present, and how religion and state, even though it is a secular state Russia, how it is entangled in religion. So let us see that. So what has happened is this priest is right. His name is Kirill. That is the English version of Cyril. So his name is Kirill, which is Cyril. What he said is there should be Christmas truce. Truce as in people should not fight. I mean, soldiers should not fight. So as soon as he said that, Kremlin declared a unilateral ceasefire from Friday noon through Saturday, that is on Christmas Day, along the entire front line. So they did not fight at all. So this shows how when a religious leader comes and says something and a secular state listens it. This shows the close relationship between the church and the secular state of Russia. But this patriarch Kirill, right? He is often heard saying a lot of controversial stuff. He said even though Russians started the fight, he is telling Russian troops are the defenders of the fatherland. And then he said this war is for human salvation and other things like that. So now what he's doing is this father is always taking stand that supports Kremlin. What Kremlin is? Kremlin is where the Russian president stays. It's like the US's White House. So this person is always supporting Kremlin. So back in the day also in 2015, he supported Russia's intervention in Syria, and he backed Russian policy towards eastern Ukraine, where a crisis broke out in 2015 after the elected government was brought down by Western countries backed protesters. So then also Russia intervened and he supported it. But all these things, like the patriarch Kirill, he's involving himself in a lot of things. So this is costing the Russian church dearly. So let us see how the Ukrainian Orthodox Church and all these Orthodox churches came about. This Ukrainian Orthodox Church, right, it was linked to the Russian Church. both the countries' Orthodox Church trace their origins to the 10th century when Eastern Christianity was introduced to Kievan Rus. Kievan Rus is a place. I mean, it's a region in it's a medieval region in Europe, which includes today's Ukraine and Russia. So what happened later? It became the official faith of Russian Empire. That is during the Tsar reign. But after 1917 revolution, it's the communist revolution. Communists do not believe in religion or God, so the church became virtually toothless. But what happened after the breakup of 1991 Soviet Union? Communists lost power. So after the breakup of Soviet Union, the Orthodox Church made a comeback. So now it is very famous in Russia. Now what is doing the person sitting in Moscow is overseeing matters related to both Russia and Ukraine. And what is doing in 2019, 5 years after Crimea was annexed by Russia, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, it broke away from Moscow and became an autonomous entity with the blessings of the Patriarch of Constantinople. So who is he? Is the leader of Eastern Orthodox Christianity Church. And what happens? He was not always supporting the government. Sometimes he has opposed it. When he opposed it, he has been critical of the communist leadership. In 1980s, he signed a resolution against Soviets sending troops to Afghanistan. Right? In 1980s, the Soviet invaded Afghanistan. So he signed a resolution against it, for which he was sent away from his place, which is Leningrad. So what he says, I saw danger for the motherland in this. Like this, he's saying. But even though he said like this, largely he's had a very smooth relationship with Moscow. But since 2009, right, he's having a lot of power and he's become very close to the state. So after Kirill became the patriarch in 2009, he tried to reform the church and build closer ties with the state. So, right, Russia is a Soviet state, so a lot of people will be atheists. So he tried to attract youngsters to the church and open media wing to improve the church's image and replace the lot of churches bishops, because there were a lot of allegations against them like corruption, child abuse and things like that. So he replaced 1/3 of them. And he's building a very close relationship with Putin. So Putin is also using it because 70% of the people in Russia, they identify themselves as Orthodox Christians. So he is also becoming very close to this patriarch Kirill. So what is happening? So he's given high media attention, and the church Orthodox value is part of the school curriculum now. And he also spoke very highly about Mr. Putin. He called him a miracle man who saved Russia from collapse. And he's always criticizing the West. He calls their values decadent. That is not a good, bad like that. So that he has done. However, since this person is head of both Ukraine and Russia, he's supporting Russia, right? So he's losing clout in Ukraine. What has happened? His support for Russia has cost him millions of followers in Ukraine after the schism. So, and one more thing, what has happened is the war has made the relationship between Russia and Ukrainian Orthodox Christians more complicated. But this person is not affected by all this. He seems undeterred. So he says Russia is fighting for the future of all of mankind. Like that, he said in the Christmas message. So this is what you'll have to know. What is this person is doing? You can use it in essay. You can use it as a fodder point as to how religion and state plays a very close role, or how one uses the other. Let us now go on to the next article. So right? Recently in Tawang there was clashes between Indian and Chinese troops. This article is about it. Now let us go and see it in detail. So you should know these places. They might ask in the exam. So this is where Tawang is, Arunachal Pradesh. very close to Tibet, culturally very important for the Tibetan Buddhists. And one more thing with respect to Arunachal Pradesh, you should know is the Sela Pass. So these two are the areas of conflict. So these two areas you should know. So that's why I put the map here. So what happened, as you know, in December 9, Indian and Chinese troops clashed in Tawang region. Where in Tawang region? In the Yangtze area. So remember all these places. You know, in 2020 there was clash in Galwan, which is in Leh Ladakh region. This is in Tawang. So this is one end and this is another end. Why all those? Why this clash recently? Because China started building road infrastructure in Tawang region. So what is happening? There's rapid infrastructure development by China along the border. So because of this, they are able to have access to key locations on the Yangtze Plateau. So before a year, they did not have this access. Now they are easily having this access to Yangtze Plateau. So why did the clash take place in Tawang? Tawang is strategically placed in the Indian territory between China and Bhutan. Okay, so the region's border with China is a part of the de facto, but it is unsettled. It is de facto, but it is unsettled, and we call it LAC, or the line of actual control. So within Tawang, where this Yangtze Plateau, this is the most important place. This plateau is most important for both Indian and Chinese military, because the peak of this plateau is 5,700 meters above the sea level. So if you get on top of it, you can pretty much see the entire region. So this is why Yangtze Plateau is very important for both the militaries. So right now, India has control of the ridgeline of the plateau. So what Indian troops do is they get on the top of the ridgeline and they oversee the entire LAC. So what they'll do, they'll see what the Chinese are doing and things like that. So what they are doing is they are getting on top of it and they prevent Chinese overwatch of roads leading to Sela Pass. So if India has control of the ridgeline, it can see what China is doing, because China is trying to build a road to Sela Pass. If you get to Sela Pass, what will happen? It is the only access in and out of Tawang. So if you have to go to Tawang, you have to go through Selang Pass, which is the only access. And with India's position in LAC, it will be able to prevent China from building a road towards Sela Pass. And what India is doing, India is constructing an all-weather tunnel already through the pass, this will be completed this year. So even though they do all this, if you get on top of the Yangtze Plateau, you can see everything along the region. So the plateau is that important. So what happened in December 9? Indian forces occupy a commanding position along the ridgeline, but it is not impregnable, meaning you can easily get through it. So these roads are that Indian bases have, they're not good, they are dirt tracks. So and satellite imagery shows these roads are largely suffering from erosion, landslides, and environmental conditions are poor. This is from India's side. Even though China's position is on the lower side of the plateau, it has invested more heavily than the Indian military in building new roads and other infrastructure over the past year. So with these roads, they are easily coming to the Indian side and they are fighting with Indian soldiers. So this is what happened. So what they are doing, they have upgraded roads. They have sealed roads that has been constructed that leads from Tangu New Village, that too within 150 meters of the LAC ridgeline. So this LH ridgeline, we have access to it, but within 150 meters, they have built roads. So what will happen? China will easily send its soldiers to LAC. So directly they can easily come. And there is also a small PLA camp. What is a PLA camp? People's Liberation Army, China's army. They have a small camp at the end of the road, so they can easily send soldiers there. So it was the construction of this new road that enabled Chinese troops to come towards Indian positions during December 9 skirmish. So you'll have to know these things. So this is where Indian troops are, and they can see what is happening through the syllabus. So from here they'll see what the Chinese troops are doing. So we have upper hand here. So these are the Indian posts. Indian troops are here, here. Indian troops are here. So we have upper hand already. This is the Chinese post we saw, right? They built these roads. So using these roads only, they are coming and fighting the Indian soldiers. So there is infrastructure race in this region. So we know Indians have upper hand. So to overcome that upper hand, what China is doing is they are building infrastructure. So, in small skirmishes, PLA remains at disadvantage because more Indian troops are situated on the commanding ridgeline that makes up the LAC. In small fights, India will have upper hand. But in a more significant, long-lasting conflict, what will happen is because of the roads, the transport infrastructure that PLA has built over the years, they could easily use those roads and come and attack India, while Indian soldiers, Indian army does not have proper roads. The roads are less reliable, so will be disadvantaged in the long run. So, but we are also developing infrastructure. What has happened? India's pace of infrastructure in Arunachal Pradesh since the Galwan clash and after the 2000 December 22 clash, we have also accelerated the infrastructure development. Even recently, Indian Defense Minister inaugurated multiple infrastructure projects in this area. So, what is what is China's role here? So, and you should know this is what China has been doing of late with a lot of countries, not only with India. They've been doing it with other Southeast Asian countries like Philippines, Vietnam, and things like that. So what they'll do is they'll first go and clash, and what will happen is they'll change the status quo. Already one line will be there, that is the de facto border will be there. They'll go and change it. So what they'll change is they'll come some more inches, some more meters, some more kilometers forward, and they'll try to change the boundary. So media reports have also revealed that since 2021 Chinese army is doing it. So what they'll do, this intrusion and previous clashes which the Indian government claims Chinese troops provoked literally served to further normalize the presence of Chinese troops immediately adjacent to the LAC. So what this point is telling is before they were not very close to the LAC, they were a bit far. Now the clashes are there. They clashed with the Indian troops. They have built roads. Now they have come very close to the LAC. So now because of this, they have changed the status quo. This is what you should know about the Chinese strategy. So this is what they are telling the strategy again. So what they'll do is they'll come across the border. This is their long-term strategy. They'll by engaging in such an intrusion, the PLA is able to strategically position any retreat to a higher location on the plateau. So even if even if Indian army asks them to go back, they'll go back to a higher location on the plateau. So this is what their strategy is. So what is the way ahead for India? So we'll see. India is in a very catch-22 situation, right? So it should respond. At the same time, it should not escalate the situation. So India should de-escalate, but it should not give any strategically important place. It should not give away to China. And so these two are very important thing. And other things that they can do is they should improve vigilance, surveillance along the border. Those things they should do. And other things like non-military multilateral measures they should also India should do to risk accidental escalation. and they can also show this as China violating the peace and security of Indo-Pacific. Like that, they can show to the international community, and they can call out China's provocative behavior. So this is what you should know with regard to this. Next thing is finally what is happening in Sri Lanka. We'll see it. It is a small political drama that is going on in Sri Lanka. So there's a political party representing Tamil interests called Tamil National Alliance. A lot of Tamils themselves don't support it because they call it as misguided and naive. But what they are trying to do is they are trying to work closely with Sinhala leadership on the Tamil issue. So what is the leader's name? The leader's name is Raja Varotyam Sambandhan. He says he wants a political situation within the framework of a united, undivided, indivisible country. So united, who are united? Tamils and Sinhalese. They should be united like that, he's saying. So they are in talks for the Tamil issue. So the President Ranil Wickremesinghe, he has appealed to all the parties in parliament to come together and solve the ethnic problem. What is the problem? The problem is between the Sinhala speaking Buddhists and the Tamil speaking Hindus of Sri Lanka. There is ethnic tensions there, so they want a solution to it. But this Wickremesinghe is asking all people to come and talk, but he's not taking any concrete action against discrimination against the Tamils. So, what is the urgent issue put forward by the alliance, that is the Tamil National Alliance? Excuse. So, there is state and military occupation of the Tamils land. You have seen Sri Lanka's map, right? In Tamil and East, predominantly in North and East, predominantly Tamils live. There is still military occupation. The war got over in 2008 itself, but still there's military occupation. And during the war years, a lot of Tamils of Sri Lanka were detained under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. No action has been taken on that yet. Truth and accountability to families of forcibly disappeared persons. So during the war, a lot of youngsters got disappeared. So Tamils want a majority. These three, their main issue. This they are asking Ranil Wickremesinghe to look into it, but no action has been taken as of yet. So let us see very briefly about TNA. It has 10 MPs in Sri Lanka's legislature. The main party in TNA is Ilangai Tamil Arasu Katchi, which is also called Federal Party. And there are two other parties called the People's Liberation Organization of Tamil Eelam, and the other one is called Tamil Eelam Liberation Organization, both with history of armed militancy. So both these parties were once fighting with arms against the Sinhala government. So what we mean by tiger tag here is previously these parties were associated with LTTE, but after the end of civil war, these parties are saying we do not want a separate country, so they are against secessionism. So, but what many Tamils, right, in Sri Lanka, they still support LTTE because still the majority Sinhala people are discriminating Tamils. So that issue is still going on there. But however, recently this TNA, right, initially it used to boycott a lot of elections, but now it is contesting elections. So that is a good sign. Let us now go on to the politics of TNA. As you know, TNA is a regional party. So as we know, the north and east of Sri Lanka is where predominantly Tamils live. So that is a regional party. But it holds a considerable sway in national elections because whenever there is close contest between southern parties, that is the Sinhalese party, these TNA, they'll have a play there. So what is their approach? They'll support anybody who's not a Rajabaksa. So this is their stand with respect to national elections. So over the years, they have supported General Sarath Fonseca, who was the military commander, who was the army chief during the 2008 civil war, Maithripala Sirisena in 2050, and Sajid Premadasa in 2019. Even though Sirisena won with the help of Tamils and Muslims, he has not done much for them. Because if you do something for Tamils and Muslims, it will not go well down with the Sinhala. So, neither Sirisena nor Ranil Wickramasinghe have been able to do anything with regard to the welfare of Tamils. So, because nothing has happened for Tamils, the TNA has lost 6 seats in the 2020 general election. So, in spite of not being very famous amongst Tamils, that is, in spite of losing elections, TNA is seen as the most credible voice of Tamil aspirations by both Indian and the Western countries. But what happened once in 2013, this TNA, right, it won elections to govern the Northern Provincial Council, that is the northern provinces of Sri Lanka, where Tamils predominantly live. For this, the chief minister was Vigneshwaran. So, in spite of it being a Tamil region and the chief minister being a Tamil person, there was no good policy initiative. Neither was there any economic revival in the war-affected area in the 5 years. So, in spite of getting a good chance to govern themselves, the Tamils did not do a good job. That is, the TNA did not do a good job. So what this TNA does is it wants something called as the provincial council system. What is this? It was formed during the Indo-Lanka Award of 1987. We have seen about this, right? It was signed between Rajiv Gandhi and Jayawardene. So what it aims to devolve political power throughout the island. So through the 13th amendment, what the Sri Lankan constitution will do, it will give power to the local areas. That is, it will Tamils and others will get power to this 13th amendment. But a lot of people still say it is an inadequate framework. It will not lead to meaningful power devolution. But TNA says it is a starting point. But other Tamil parties, they are telling this is not a good thing. This will not be of any use. So there's no point in pursuing it. So this is what the 13th amendment is all about. So TNA has a lot of criticisms. So they are telling the political rivals still they do not have a shared vision. There is no one voice among them. There is no unity among them. And a lot of prominent TNA leaders, there is public spat among themselves for individual political gains. So things like with these they are doing, they are not for the welfare of Tamils, they are for their own political gain. So things like this they are doing. So what is the way forward? TNA's rival TNPF is gaining ground in Sri Lanka. So what the TNA should do is they should be consistent in their pursuit for political solution. They should democratize their own party, and they should evolve a strategy for economic development of the north and east. That is areas where predominantly Tamils live, and they should include the issues of other Tamil speaking minorities. Who are the other Tamil speaking minorities? It is predominantly the Muslims. They also speak Tamil, but they do not come under the majority Tamils. And the party should have more women. So these are the things that they should be doing in the long run. So as usual, we'll have 2 preliminary question and 1 mains question. Let us see if you're able to answer it. So we saw this already, right? You might have a prelims question in this. What does the term Jinking Jri constantly in news mean? We have seen it. The answer is A, living root bridges of Meghalaya. So this also we saw. Sela Pass, often seen in news, is present in which strategically important state? So this was a sitter, easy question. The answer is Arunachal Pradesh. It is the only route to Tawang. So finally, we have a mains question. So this also we discussed. There is rising tensions between Indian and Chinese troops along the line of actual control. In this context, explain the strategic importance of LAC and why there is increased provocations from the Chinese side, and what can be done to de-escalate the situation without losing ground. So this also we discussed in the day's analysis. India should de-escalate but at the same time it should not lose strategic positions. So why the Chinese are doing it and what they have done, like infrastructure developments and things like that, you should write all those things with a proper heading, body and conclusion in 250 words. So that is all for the day. If you like us, you can subscribe our channel in YouTube, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and also join our Telegram channel. That's all for the day. Have a nice day. Thank you.